Oregon has always felt like home to me, and that's become especially true since I moved to Eugene. Here, being green isn't just a slogan for loving our ducks, it's our way of life. From our tight-knit friend groups to thriving thrift culture, sustainability shows up in how we live, share, and support one another. But I wanted to dig deeper. I wanted to understand the food systems that nourish our communities, so I set out to explore how Eugene feeds itself, and how we break away from the traditional industrialization of our modern United States. So I went out and I worked a day in GrassRoots Garden and explored Founded Fest. It's a beautiful 90-degree day in Eugene, Oregon today, and we're hitting up Founded Fest, which is a giant citywide thrift thing where I figured I could find a bunch of sustainable people with interests in food sovereignty. Even though Founded Fest was put on by a thrift store, it wasn't just about the fashion. It was about community expressing creativity and sustainability. What started as a small gathering of vintage vendors quickly grew into a city-backed celebration. With its live music, a fix-it fair, and like 50 local vendors, it was a glimpse into how Eugene brings sustainability to life. Not just through the food or fashion, but through culture and connection. And here I spoke with Evan Getz, who took these drone shots. I'm sitting here with Evan, and I wanted to ask you some of the questions about food sovereignty in Eugene, Oregon, and what it's going to look like for the homeless population going forward in Eugene.
Okay.
I was curious, what do you think of when you think of food insecurity in Eugene?
I mean, we get a lot of people coming here seasonally who don't have, a home or probably a reliable source of income. People who are coming here because it's kind of a sanctuary city, and I'm sure that those people struggle with, getting daily food. If you're not making any money, if there's not resources. I know we've had resources. I know we have. I've seen free fridges around. I've seen. I know we have food pantries, but I don't know how much people can depend on those. And then even for the working class people right now, there's a lot of people out in like West Eugene, kind of the more industrial side of things that, I wonder if they're able to feed their families.
As I interviewed Evan, I was reminded of Tristram Stewart's Waste, where he essentially says that we're producing enough food to feed everyone abundantly, and yet people are still throwing away mountains of it daily. The expiration dates, the exorbitant prices that are put on goods, and the cosmetic standards like throwing away misfits effectively are creating a system where surplus is wasted and people are going hungry. Also, it's a cute cat. I know. What does food waste mean to you? Are you particularly conscious of what you waste in your own life?
Yes, I am. I definitely recognize that I contribute to food waste. I will buy stuff at the grocery store, and sometimes I just don't use it, and then I definitely notice my impact or my contribution of food waste. I know that I'm a contributor, and I have the luxury to not be super conscious about it and about how much I am wasting, but that is, in a world where not everybody can eat, that's
If you could design a better system for our city, what would it look like to you? For food system?
Humans have always been a community and kind of tribe-oriented species. That's how we are social animals, and I feel like our community design as it is encourages isolation, individual self-reliance, but not in a healthy way. I feel like community reliance is an important factor in community resilience, in community building, in creating places where people feel like they have a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging. And the idea of having a food system which allows people to kind of meet in a communal space, if not for cooking and kitchen needs, for food needs, would be a more ideal society for me.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you.
It's 7:48 in the morning, and I'm rolling out of bed to go and volunteer at the GrassRoots Garden, where I'm going to be living sustainably for a day. This will be crazy. I'm gonna go get coffee. Oh my gosh, I just had the thought, what if they have coffee there for us? That would be so thoughtful and cool. And in my journey to find sustainable food practices, I found the GrassRoots Garden, a farm that's powered by community, just off of Coburg on your way to Winco. It's run by Food for Lane County, and it grows thousands of pounds of produce for a super diverse audience. and I came here to find out how gardens can feed a city.
Some of them, but we have a lot.
Perfect. Stick it right on.
Well, we do eventually, but we gotta get those carrots out first.
In order to better understand how a farm at this level can function, from soil to propagation to harvesting to plate, I wanted to speak with the farm's horticulture manager, who shared how growing food here is more than just the produce.
Okay, yeah, my name is Emily Johnson. I'm the field coordinator here at GrassRoots Garden. So my job is to manage all the horticultural side of things and teach volunteers and the various things we're doing to support our plants. So could include like planting, harvesting, weeding, maintaining crops through pest control and trellising.
And how would you describe the role of community farms in building a more sustainable food system?
I think it's critically important because I think sadly a lot of people don't know where their food comes from at all, and I think one of the biggest things that we can do to help out with awareness of food systems is getting people to interact with them and getting people to have a sense that food doesn't just appear on a grocery store shelf, that it actually takes a lot of energy to produce food, which I think people are generally unaware of. The amount of fuel energy that's going into food production and to production of fertilizers, etc., is just astronomically high. So getting people to have a sense of like, oh, food doesn't just appear, it's actually a lot of energy goes into the creation of, I think is a really important thing that will make people more engaged with, you know, when there's policy up about food systems, to actually have a bit more of a sense of, you know, what's going on and what might be beneficial to pursue.
Absolutely. It's also like super easy to just kind of gloss over the super long ingredient lists of ultra processed foods and kind of just say, all right, this is what's available, I'm just going to eat it.
Right.
But when it has to actually interact with your food and go and put in that energy and work and watch the water and all the things come together, it becomes significantly more almost. Yeah.
You get a lot of kids out here like on field trips, and one of the coolest things is watching how if a kid picks a vegetable themselves, how they will eat it or try it regardless, or like, and there's little weird peer pressure things that get going, or like, oh, try this, oh, this is great, and then everyone's inclined to be like, it's great, even if they don't think that. Like broaden kids' exposure to vegetables and be more open to liking fresh produce. I think we're also a really valuable spot for that kind of thing to happen.
Absolutely.
Studies have shown that when kids are able to get their hands dirty and learn what it means to grow their own food, it doesn't just boost their health and nutrition, but also their sense of well-being and community as well.
One of the biggest struggles we have is maintaining freshness. So it's like I once met a produce management company who said that the hardest thing is to sell dying stuff. Like all we're doing is selling stuff that's dying, which is kind of what's happening when you are selling like a head of lettuce. I mean, it's alive still, but it's slowly dying. And so I think the perishability of fresh produce is one of the biggest challenges to accessing it.
Absolutely. It's also kind of self-perpetuating. If people don't buy it, then it's going to perish more, and then it's just not going to get sold, and it's going to go off and landfill, or, you know,
unfortunately, a lot of it goes to landfills. It'd be better if it got composted.
What does this farm do to actively reduce food waste?
Well, so a lot of it's through education. So we get the foods or the produce department scraps from Capella Market twice a week. So everything they figure they can't sell, we take and compost it. It doesn't mean it's actually no longer edible. It just might mean it's, you know, has like a rotting spot that you could easily cut out of a pepper. Also teaching people how to cook with fresh produce is something else we work here. My coworker Jamie is the kitchen coordinator, and she's working on like educating people on like how to turn a fresh vegetable into dinner. And I feel like that's another thing, is like people buy vegetables meaning to be virtuous, and then they just languish in their fridge until they're a little puddle of goop.
According to the 2025 Refed Census data on food waste, fruits and vegetables make up over a third of all of it in the US. Part of the 80% of surplus food that comes from perishables. Because they spoil quickly, they're thrown out before they're eaten or produced into something better than just a vegetable.
If they actually feel like they are empowered to like cook with it and like have experience like, oh, I've turned this into a dish before, I think that also helps reduce the food waste part.
Where does the food go, and like who does it benefit?
Yeah, so The vast majority of the food we grow goes into Food for Lane County. So it's either going to the dining room, which is the restaurant style diner on like 8th and Charnelton, where anyone can walk in and get a free table service sit down meal. So we do farm to table with them. So every week I'm letting them know what we're harvesting. They tell me how much they'd like. And then beyond that, we're also sending stuff into the warehouse in bulk. And the Food for Lane County warehouse is like the hub of a wheel, and all the partner agencies we work with that actually run pantries, like the spokes. And so we send stuff to the warehouse, and then it gets distributed throughout like our 200 some partner agencies that are distributing the food from.
Does that typically benefit just like the elderly, homeless people, or is it just?
It's a huge range of stuff. I mean, Food for Lane County has so many different programs, so it's definitely, there's Meals on Wheels, there's all the food pantries that are serving various populations with the summer
We're
food
serving
program, a huge swath of the community.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Food waste isn't just an environmental issue of people dumping food into a landfill that's never going to decompose. It's a human issue. Across the United States, there are over 41% of college students who are facing some kind of food insecurity, and the students from marginalized communities are going to face it at an even higher rate. Food insecurity is more than just being hungry. It's linked to a lot of different complications, like having lower GPAs, lower graduation rates, and having higher rates of anxiety, depression, stress, and like long-term health complications. And yet, the 69% of these students who are food insecure are not able to be enrolled in SNAP for some reason or another. The numbers reframe food access on campus as not just a matter of necessity, it's a matter of justice. It's a matter of getting the people that the food and nourishment that they need.
So, well, thank you, Emily.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Being green within the society that's been perpetuated over the past 300 years is incredibly difficult. And I wanted to set out to explore how local efforts of the few are willing to challenge these status quos and diverge from wasteful food and fashion practices. And through these community-centered spaces, like the GrassRoots Garden and its many participants, or the sustainability conscience event like Founded Fest, we're starting to see a growing movement of how we think to use the products around us. And be it one composted bin, a reused garment, or a garden bed, we're making progress. And progress is enough. Thank you.